They wanna wonga.
Sukui Gar, everyone, it's Nazo again, and yes, I've finally gotten around to releasing this video. I know it's been a while since I released my last one, but I wanted to make sure I had time to do this one. So in this particular video, I will be doing the questions I had intended for Legacy Expo for the authors. Now, I didn't have an opportunity to get to every single author, unfortunately. One left the day after the first day of the con, and the other I didn't have a chance to meet up with him. But the top 3 authors I was able to get questions for. Now, I couldn't get to everybody's question, just the ones I could remember, ones I was able to save back. That's my fault, and I apologize if I missed any of your questions. But the point is, I got to interview 3 authors. Well, not really interview, just more ask questions. Ask questions of 3 authors, James Luceno, Matthew Stover, and Sean Stewart. I do have everyone whose question I was able to present in a way, and I will present them as necessary as we go along. I was also able to ask the co-author of Legacy 2, Gabriel Hardman, since I didn't have a chance to ask these questions of the other author, Karina Becco. So with that said, let's get started. I will start with the Luceno questions, starting with the question that Scott Johnson had for him. So this first question is in reference to your novel Tarkin. After the changeover from the old canon to the new canon, did you mean to keep the Mercana reference?
Yes, that was deliberate on my part to keep that in there. Like I said, there's not much that I would have changed in the Tarkin novel.
Right.
Things changed quite a bit in Catalyst, but that's a whole other story.
Right. Next question is from Aang, 2008. So next question is, how does it feel knowing that the expanded universe that you were a part of is as famous to a lot of fans as, say, J.R. Tolkien's Legendarium, like its whole storyline?
It feels great. I think though, I wish that there had been more control of canon, like from the top down.
Yeah.
I don't think that there was a need for so many things to be overwritten, especially with, well, for example, like the Clone Wars television.
From the multimedia project.
Yeah, I think sometimes that writers of books are sort of at the lowest tier, and that film.
Yeah,
and
no,
television,
you guys get no offense, you get shafted a lot.
Yeah, we get no credit. So
I hate that.
Yeah, so I would have preferred just personally a more controlled canon, but it is what it is,
This next question is from a Star Wars Expanded Universe YouTuber I've been recently watching and talking to, the Walrus Jedi. So, if you could write any other storybook in the EU, what would it be?
Well, as I mentioned in the panel, it would be Sidious's story from his point of view, going all the way back to the beginning of the
Phantom Menace,
going back to the Phantom Menace and taking it all the way forward through all the film series.
That would be interesting to see.
I think
like
so.
Almost like a personal diary.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it would have been great to see how he was reacting to each threat and to each time one of his tactics succeeded. It would have been really cool.
Oh, absolutely. This next question is from my very good friend Dartha Nihilus, both on YouTube, Twitter, and Discord. So, what do you consider your best work?
My best work? I think, in terms of writing, I think my best work is Darth Plagueis. I mean, I think I was building up to that as a writer.
Oh, absolutely.
Early on, I was sort of still getting my feet wet with Hero's Trial and everything. I did enjoy the Unifying Force because it allowed me to sort of put an ending on a project that I'd been with for 4 years.
Yeah.
So that was very fulfilling. The book that I probably had the most fun with was Cloak of Deception. It just wrote itself.
Which is one of my favorites.
Yeah, and just had a really good time with it.
This next question is also from Ang2008 on Twitter. Are you and any of the authors friends in real life?
Friends in real life. Part of probably one of the things I enjoyed most about being in the franchise was collaborating with all of these different authors, from Mike Stackpole, Matt Stover. I don't call these guys regularly or text with them, but I have nothing but fond memories of working with so many writers, and it's very rare when a writer gets a chance to collaborate the way we did on these books.
I can't remember if it was you or Matt, but when you guys were doing book ideas back in the day, one of you two would call each other, "Oh, what if I do this? Or what if I do this? Or what if I do this?" And
I think that was more like Matt and, or maybe it was. I've heard that story before. I mean, a lot of these writers, like Mike Stackpole and Matt Stover, were friends from other projects that came on board. So I think they had more of that kind of working, everyday kind of relationship.
Yeah, where they're like, what if we do this? What if we do this?
And that's the kind of relationship I had with Brian Daly earlier.
Oh, yeah. You mentioned, I've noticed looking on your Wikipedia page that you've got works with, I can't remember the other guy, but there's one other guy and Brian Daly, even far after his passing.
Brian had left an unfinished novel, a huge unfinished novel that my pledge to him when he was dying was that I would finish it for him, which I did.
Good. I'm glad you did. You guys can no doubt tell from the footage, Mr. Lucino was very gracious, very kind, standing, answering my questions. We kind of, after the first couple of questions, we kind of stepped out into the hallway out of the main room so that I could do the questions uninterrupted and not have to worry about a crowd walking in between us. But yes, he was very gracious, very kind. I had my own personal question for him that I recorded as well, but I'll save that to the end of the video. Same with the one I had for Mr. Matthew Stover. But with that, let me get over to Mr. Stover's questions. So this next question was from Ultra721 on Twitter. So here with Matthew Stover, one person asks, which version of Luke Skywalker and the Shadows of Mindor is the proper version? Like the true version?
Are there more versions than one? I think that story has only been told in detail one time. And
true, but
it was by Lors Gepton, not by me. I'm not responsible for the content.
But I think that's just kind of his general question is who has the most, because like you said, it's like a drama that's, about Luke Skywalker,
right.
And how accurate is it? How
that was entirely to be left up to your imagination, so I'm not going to answer it.
Very smart.
The whole idea of doing that kind of metafiction is to encourage you to try to imagine what really happened. Right?
Yeah.
That was my plan.
This next question was supposed to be an extension of my buddy Annihilus as well as Caleb, and I used it for Mr. Stover. What do you consider your best work?
My best? Probably, I gotta say, in terms of execution, from conception to finished product, the thing that came closest to being exactly what I wanted it to be is Traitor. It's a Star Wars book, not one of my originals. Those are a lot woollier than you can get away with.
My guess, yeah, probably. But yeah, so Traitor in general.
Yeah, I think so.
Makes sense. You mentioned Sleuth earlier, so.
Yeah.
This next one was once again from Ang2008. So, how does it feel knowing that your stories in the expanded universe are to some as famous or as important as J.R.R. Tolkien's Legendarium?
Well, I'll go with to some people. My whole thing about being a writer is there were two things that I had personal ambitions to be a writer, and one was to write books that people needed to read. It's like J.K. Rowling got with Harry Potter.
Yeah.
New Harry Potter comes out, there are people who just have to read it.
I
wanted to be that guy. The only other real objective I had in and still have been writing, is I want to write stories that leave marks on people who read.
Excellent.
That's it.
I feel like at least for me, most of your books that I've gone through left a mark.
Sean. I'm sorry, I haven't
No,
seen him.
his turn is next.
I haven't seen him yet this weekend.
Oh, okay. I decided to leave that little bit in, just so you can see that Mr. Stover was talking to Sean Stewart. He was right behind me, and they had a great little conversation about how they were going to collab for the Clone Wars panel, considering Stephen Barnes could not make it, and they were trying to figure out, like, okay, so who's who's going to be doing the majority of the talking, but neither one of them had a plan. But I'll get back to the questions, but it was just a funny little tidbit that I didn't record on purpose because I thought it was just cool just to let it be, This next question is once again from EU YouTuber Walrus Jedi. Okay, if you could write about any other Star Wars, any other book like that, what would it be? Anything?
Well, what I always wanted to do, my ambition, the first time somebody asked me that story was before I did Revenge of the Sith. Asked me that question. I wanted to write the final adventure. I wanted to write the end because, as it turned out,
it was a beginning and an end at the same.
But I wanted to write the end of Luke, Han, and Leia. Their last hurrah, go out big.
Oh, you should have stole Troy Denning's book, Crucible, because that was supposed to be their last hurrah, from what I heard.
Well, I'm not sure I read it. I think I was already on to other things.
Yeah. But that was supposedly their last. Frankly, I've never read that book yet. I'm going to get to it eventually. But honestly, it feels like if you were going to get the last hurrah, you should have gotten the last hurrah. And as you can see again, Mr. Stover was just a delight to talk to when it came to just his little answers to the questions, his fun little bits, being general comical, and he, believe it or not, he has a very different view of how the Force is. It's definitely not the George Lucas view that I hold and many other hold, and I told him, like, I fundamentally disagree with that view, but he understands, and he's got his own way of looking at things and his own view. It's very similar to the Gray Jedi vibe. It's the one I'm not the biggest fan of, but like, despite like that sort of minor disagreement, we were still civil, still cool with each other. In fact, I'm hoping to get back to him at some point, so that I can get him a volume of the manga Berserk, because I highly recommended it to him, because he said his Kane books were pretty dark, and I'm gonna check those out eventually. But it's interesting to see, And of course, the final question others had for Stover is once again from Aang. All right, among authors, are you friends with any in real life?
You mean? Depends on what you mean by friends.
Not just like colleagues, but like, do you guys call on the phone? Do you talk a lot?
No.
Or even text?
No, I don't have those kinds of friends. I don't like people that well.
Oh. You should sign up for Discord. It's all the voice chat and ideas. Right. Voice chat and ideas without actually having to look the people in the eye.
Yeah, but I'm just I'm kind of inside my own head most of the time.
Tell me about it. Once again, Matthew Stover proving that he has just probably the most best sort of fun, comical vibe, even if he is a bit of a darker storyteller. But yeah, just like with Lucino, he was just an absolute delight to talk to, just a fun guy to talk to. Talk about stuff, bounce ideas, and that. I told him that he and Sean should get together and like write a book, because they both kind of cover light and darkness, and so they could make they really wanted to, they could make like a fantasy story where both of them kind of like mix their ideologies, and we kind of see just where that would go. So yeah, they may take my advice, they may not, because again, I'm just some guy, but like it would be cool if they did. It would be cool to see them work together. But enough of my fanboying. Let's get back to the questions. The next person we got up is Mr. Sean Stewart. This question is, no surprise, once again, by Aang. So, how do you feel knowing yours and other Star Wars writers, that their books and comics and everything are considered as important and relevant as J.R.R. Tolkien's Legendarium?
That would be great company to be in. I think Star Wars has been an extremely important thing.
Yeah.
And Tolkien happens to be my ground zero as an author. I'm a writer because of Tolkien.
Yeah. But there are a lot of fans online, no joke, that consider it as consistent and important as Tolkien's Legendarium.
I feel that they are entitled to that opinion. And I think it does something that is... Tolkien had, speaking of the Legendarium per se, Tolkien had a very precise, particular project, which is to create a British mythology. Because, scholar and curmudgeon that he was, the Arthurian tales were French. He said, why should the Matter of Britain be a bunch of French stories? We should make a Matter of Britain that's, British.
Yeah.
Whereas what Star Wars has built has, in some senses, a broader applicability.
More than just a British fairy tale. It's a fairy tale that everybody can look into, everybody can see and understand, and
it certainly, I think, is probably connects. Is easier to connect to for more people in more places.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was Sean Stewart dropping fun little interesting lore bits and details, particularly about J.R.R. Tolkien, how he was pretty much his ground zero for writing. I think Tolkien obviously was the influence for most really good writers in one way or another, but to see him really think about his answer, really logically think about it, his thoughts on Tolkien, it was just fun and interesting to see. And once again, we have another question from the Walrus Jedi. Alright, so the question is, if you could write any other book in the Star Wars Expanded Universe, what would it be about?
It's a funny question for me because I got the chance. I told this story before, but Star Wars came out when I was 12.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty great age for Star Wars to come out. And when I was 13, I wrote in a notebook the phrase, "The Force is weak in this way." And I always wanted to read that story. Because we're forever getting the story of, the Anakins and Lukes and Ender and all the other Wunderkinder.
Yeah.
We're always the best, and it's tough being the most talented person in the world. So when Del Rey came to me and asked for a book, I said, I want to write a book about the weakest Padawan in the Jedi Temple, someone who's just hanging on by their fingernails, and they let me do that in the context of the Yoda book. So in some senses, I got to write the Force story that I most wanted to write, which is about what it's like at the other end of that bell curve.
And frankly, I feel like this is just my personal input, but frankly, I feel like she's got more advantages than most Jedi because she's not as susceptible to the dark side. She can move in places they can't because she's not sensed as well in the Force. And in that sense, she's kind of special because she embodies the Jedi philosophy, but just doesn't have the ability that goes with. And there are other characters in the Star Wars expanded universe that are like that. There's in the old Marvel comics. There's a guy named Don Juan Quixote. I'm not even kidding you. Don Juan Quixote, like Obi-Wan Kenobi, but Don. And he fancies himself a Jedi Knight, but he has no Force power.
Right.
And he's in my opinion, one of the people that absolutely embodies it, like just to the truest sense.
That's funny.
Yeah, and that was Walrus's question. And interesting thing, talking to Stuart, he's such a great guy to talk to. Definitely like that, very Asian philosophical. And I shared some of the stuff that I really liked that actually fit well with his philosophy. This time around, I got to show him Jedi Master Zhao, the little Tinto species-looking guy who was blind and made the soup that could, determine how well balanced you are as a person and in the Force. And I also I grabbed one of my my Marvel omnibuses. Well, not Marvel, but Dark Horse, and I showed him a picture of the Don Juan Quixote. He loved it. He loved the philosophy of the Jedi Master Zhao, and he loved the look and design of Don Juan Quixote. He just couldn't help but smile and chuckle at it, and I loved showing it to him because I'm not sure anybody had really because he didn't really look into the Clone Wars beyond whatever information Lucasfilm had given him. So, and not just the Clone Wars, but in Star Wars in general. So when I told him, like I said, like you saw in the clip, when I told him about Don Juan Quixote, he couldn't help but chuckle and be happy about that to know that. And I think it's interesting because I think Stuart is definitely one of those guys that he roots for the everyman, the little guy that isn't special. And to me, those characters are, in some regard, far more special and important and necessary than the super. I mean, there's an entire, at least two entire story arcs where two Jedi, both in KOTOR and Tales of the Jedi, where Jedi had the great power, but it was either taken from them or lost to them. I'm talking about Mitra Surik and Ulic Qel-Droma, but they still manage to hold on to the Jedi philosophy. Despite losing their abilities, despite losing their connection, still manage to hold on to who they are. And his character Scout obviously embodied that in the best regards, because she could get angry and not fall to the dark side. She could move in places where the Sith or whatever else couldn't track them, because she was weak in the Force, but still maintain that Jedi philosophy, that important, necessary Jedi belief that keeps the darkness at bay. So, yeah. So I'm sorry, I'm fanboying again, but I'll get to the next questions, which are for Gabriel Hardman. I wanted to get to Karina Becco, but I couldn't get to her in time because she left day one. I thought she was going to be there day two. She wasn't. So yeah, without further ado, let's get to the Hardman questions. That's right, folks. It's another one of Aang's questions. All right, here with Gabriel Hardman. First question is, are you friends with any of the other authors or comic people in real life?
You mean Star Wars related?
Star Wars related, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that I know, and I know lots of people in comics. I know lots of people who worked on, those Dark Horse era, Star Wars comics. And honestly, I'm not sure off the top of my head who else. I mean, it's even though this is an event that's all about, that era of stuff, everybody works in comics as well, and comics is a separate community.
So let me see if I can rephrase the question. Let me see if I can rephrase. Are there any of your Star Wars Dark Horse colleagues that you greatly respect?
Randy. Randy Stradlin.
Yeah,
right?
Randy.
He was the sort of godfather of all that stuff, but he was also a great guy. He's still alive. I'm not talking about him in the past tense.
No.
But
if you were talking about him past tense, you might get choked up.
As far as I know, I haven't checked Facebook, but I'm sure he's fine. But yeah, no, I mean, he was the kind of, I mean, he was the guy behind all this stuff. And, but he was also, like a good guy and a sweet guy. And my, like, the way that book happened was, we had done these Planet of the Apes comics, and the letter...
Little plug there.
Yeah, so the letter of who worked on Star Wars stuff, Michael Eisner, he had been reading our Planet of the Apes books. They were looking for somebody to start on Legacy 2, to start a different version of Star Wars Legacy.
Right.
And so Randy, we were at Emerald City Comic Con. Randy just walked over the table and he was like, "Hey, Randy Stradley from Dark Horse. Do you want to do a Star Wars comic?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Okay, well, we're kind of rebooting the Legacy book. Take a look at it, send a pitch."
No, yeah.
Like, okay, great. And that was it. Like that was how the book started, right? We went back, we wrote a pitch, we sent it in, some little changes, got approved, we're doing the thing. It was one of the weirdly easy.
When I met him back in 2023, it was the coolest thing ever. He signed, even though he didn't do the third one, he signed my Crimson Empire trilogy, my panel-to-panel expanded universe guidebook, and the entirety of my Dark Time series.
He loves the Star Wars fan base.
I know. And I'm going to cut this part out. For those curious, the part I cut out from my conversation with Mr. Hardman was in regards to how hardly anybody in the 2023 con went to Randy's booth. Okay, this is Randy Stradley. All right, we would not have as many great Star Wars expanded universe Dark Horse comics without this man. All right, this man, spoke with Lucy Wilson and Sue Rustoni, Howard Rothman, George. He talked to these people on a daily, and that's the reason why we have such fantastic stories in the Dark Horse and it irked me, it bugged me that hardly anybody talked to. I mean, there were fans like me that talked to him, that gave him credit where credit is due, because obviously he did such great runs like Crimson Empire and Dark Times, and because of him I'm the biggest fan of Bomo Greenbark from Dark Times. But yeah, it bothered me that hardly anybody went to his panel, or not really his panel, but his whole thing. And he was at the previous NJO panel, because for those who don't know, New Jedi Order started out as a potential comic run, and eventually they did get a comic run, but it was not that great. But the fact of the matter is that he was, from the get-go, one of the planning stages guys, and we would not have this amazing era of Star Wars from the 90s. I mean, he even wrote an issue or two during the original Marvel run, so we would not have this without this man. This it's just it bugged me, that's all. But let me get back to the questions. And again, the question from Walrus Jedi. Okay, so if you could write any other Star Wars comic, what would it be about?
In our Legacy series, there was an assassin droid character who at some point had been somewhat reprogrammed and become a very sort of honorable, empathetic character.
Yeah.
Han Solo did something for him at some point in the past, and I would like to tell. I mean, that would have been a flashback arc to a later Legacy series, and I'm uninterested in whether it would be canon or not now. But that is I'd love to tell the story of how AG, the assassin droid, ended up getting what Han Solo did for him. That was a debt that followed all the way through down.
And he maybe he pays it back 100 years later. Or
I'm gonna write this, not you. So like, I'll make these decisions.
Yeah, obviously.
but
whatever debt he, my point is, whatever debt he owes, you'll find a way to close it off in a respectful way.
Well, right. I mean, I think the close of it is actually, in a lot of ways, legacy.
Yeah.
It's about, it's about talking about why that would be important to him.
Yeah.
For years. That's the book.
And for those of you who haven't read Legacy Volume 2, I call it Legacy 2, Legacy Volume 2. Basically, the character he's talking about is AG-37, one of Anaya Solo's companions who was a droid with a sense of empathy and morality. And basically, he was just saying that he would have found a way to close that arc or pay off the debt in one way or another. So yeah, just that simple little explanation. Finally, one more question from our boy Aang. Last question from another person online was, how do you guys feel about the old expanded universe, Star Wars in general, being as significant and important as J.R.R. Tolkien's Legendarium?
Well, it's not. I mean, like, Tolkien's... Like,
I think it is.
Okay, well, that's great. I mean, like, it's great that
yeah.
that's... That,
but I get it, yeah.
I mean, I think in a broad cultural way, I'm not more of a fan of Tolkien. I'm just, I'm actually not.
Yeah, no, I get because he had a lot of time.
It's impacted the culture in ways. I mean, it Tolkien hugely impacted like the '60s counterculture.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that there's loads of great stuff about Star Wars universe. I love it, obviously, right?
Well,
but if you look at the world like that,
you'd be surprised just how many people that have read Tolkien actually think that it's as significant and important as Tolkien's Legendarium. So whether you realize it or not, you're part of something great.
No, I mean, I'm happy to be. Like, I I love Star Wars and I love all of this stuff. I'm not running it down. I'm just.
Yeah, no, you're just like to you. It doesn't seem as.
Other people can have another opinion.
Oh, I know. I'm just
We're gonna come to blows over this.
No blows, obviously. No, I'm just letting you know that there are people that think what you did is as important as.
And what everybody did
yeah. But
absolutely.
That's my point exactly. Is like because you contributed to an ongoing mythos that even in a different way in the new canon is still contributing today.
Sure.
So
I think that's great. I'm proud of being a part of it. I feel that's why I'm here.
Good. Mr. Hardman is obviously humbler than he gives himself credit for, because obviously, even if it was just a small part of it, he did contribute to the greater whole of the expanded universe, and it's just awesome to see. And it's nice to know that he's that humble a guy, that he doesn't think his work was as important as J.R.R. Tolkien, because you need that kind of humility. You need that kind of, well, I don't know if I'm that great type of attitude. And he definitely had that. Joking, he's worried about we were going to come to blows. I'm like, no, dude, I'm just telling you, like, to some people, what you've done is as significant to them as Tolkien. Because, the way the expanded universe's mythos was greatly written was made with that continuity and that consistency, and anytime there was an issue, they tried their darndest to make it work, to retcon it, so that it would be more of a more connected narrative, which sadly I don't see as much with the Disney canon nowadays, but it's still very significant and important as far as when it goes to the expanded universe, just like how much effort and detail, and he contributed to that detail, even if he's too humble to admit it. But anyway, that's the end of the fan questions, and now I get to my questions. So this is the first question that I've been meaning to get to, and I got to talk to Mr. James Lucino about it, and his answer was surprisingly satisfying to me. Just very well done. All right, so my question, my personal question for you. In the novel Darth Plagueis, you pretty much I see your novel as like a reference guide, kind of like what Dan Wallace did with expanded universe material here.
Yeah.
Pretty much most of your books have that, but Plagueis is a whole nother tier. And there was one thing about your novel that really irked me and was the Ron Mars Darth Maul comic, which I really love that comic. And the way it was retconned in that novel with Sidious flying off the handle and freaking out compared to him being calm in the comic, and even Plagueis in that was like, chill, dude. He got the job done, no harm done. We're good.
Right.
I'm wondering, was that you or was that Lucasfilm that mandated that?
Did that comic precede Darth Plagueis, or did that comic?
It was
come
before
out-
Plagueis.
Well, then I wasn't aware of it.
Really?
I was not aware of it. Yeah.
So they just gave you vague material and.
No one ever said to me, this scene is featured in a comic and you should check it out. So I didn't even know about that.
Really?
Really.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was a common misconception.
Yeah.
Because that always bothered. Like I remember.
I never knew.
I remember listening to the audiobook and getting a little bit angry because I'm like,
blame you.
this is not how this
I don't
scene
blame
went
you.
down.
I usually like canon to be canon.
Yeah.
So I would have honored that if I had known.
Yeah, of course you would have. And now, if I'm mad at anybody, I'm more mad at whoever worked for Lucasfilm at the time that gave him that very, very vague material and didn't tell him that there was a comic. So yeah, with Mr. Lucino's inception of the idea, it wasn't his fault because he wasn't aware of it. Even if, let's say hypothetically he had been aware of it, I mean, he hasn't written these books and stuff for like 10 years. He hasn't even been to like a con and stuff for like 10 years. So it wouldn't surprise me if some details slipped his mind, even during the time he was writing Plagueis, and that's probably why he had like notes and stuff for it. But it was just a relief to know that that's just a misconception, like a mistake on his end, because nobody gave him the material. Nobody told him, yeah, this Ron Mars comic portrays it completely different, because I think he would have been consistent then. He definitely would have been more consistent, because that's just the kind of man Lucino was. Next up is my question for Matthew Stover, and I was really hoping for a better answer than this, but hopefully Lucasfilm will listen to this. So, you're going to release a version of Revenge of the Sith that will have all of your little annotations and notes, a 20th anniversary release.
That's correct.
Now, with Timothy Zahn, they did his 20th anniversary of Heir to the Empire a couple, decades or so back. He got a 4-hour audiobook of him voicing every sort of every little annotation. Do you think Lucas or Random House have any plans to call you in?
I've not heard. I wouldn't be against it.
Neither would I. That's exactly what I want.
I used to get paid for voiceover work.
I honestly want to hear your voice, hear you speak your notes.
I would do it if they paid me.
Okay, Lucasfilm, take note. Random House, just like you did with Tim Zahn, please give Matthew his 4-hour annotation audiobook.
Bless you. I don't think it'd take 4 hours. Okay.
You would be surprised. They'd ask for even for Tim's, they asked for like behind the scenes stuff, like like when George first talked to me about this, he said it was.
But he spent a lot more time chatting with Mr. Lucas than I did. Things were different in those days.
Oh yeah, it was a little bit more personal. So yeah, as far as I'm aware, Mr. Stover is not getting an audiobook. I wish he would, to explain just a little for behind the scenes, because he had a wonderful story in the Clone Wars panel when he was talking about a particular detail for Revenge of the Funny story. I can't talk about it here. You're gonna have to get his book and read his annotations. The Revenge of the Sith 20th anniversary edition, and hopefully Lucasfilm gives him an audiobook when it comes in particular to his annotations. They call him in, they drag him in, they ask him all these sort of interesting, invasive questions and details that he knows, because it'd be great to get more behind the scenes stuff for Lucasfilm, just like we got from Timothy Zahn's 20th anniversary for Heir to the Empire. One more bit of detail is a funny little detail in relation to my friend Annihilus, because last year he had a question for Sean Stewart, and this is the funny story. So I got him a hardcover copy of Yoda Dark Rendezvous to get signed by Mr. Stewart that I'm eventually going to mail to him. And basically it was in relation to a question. So the question in that day was, how close was Yoda to crapping his pants? I'll add the video right about here so you can see. Here with Sean Stewart at Legends Con. Question from Annihilus. And the question is a really interesting one. How close? It's a weird question about Yoda Dark Rendezvous, obviously, but how close was Dooku to crapping his pants at the sight of Yoda being dark side vision angry face?
Oh, I feel we're at full skid mark, don't you?
Yeah, no, going through that chills, just like the look over Yoda's face, the thought. But that was his question. So like this.
Yeah, and certainly for me, in writing this scene, I feel as if Dooku's he's going through a long thing where he's sort of pretending that he's asking for help and simultaneously pretending that he's not asking for help because there's a real part of him that is. And then he's sort of pretending to invite Yoda over to the dark side, but he always knows that Yoda won't really come. And then there's that moment where his bluff is called and Yoda said, "You think I don't know? You think I couldn't go there? Do you really want to invite that into the world? Because let me tell you, I could go there." And I think for Dooku, that is a terrifying moment because really, through the whole book, in some senses, in his heart, he is counting on Yoda's goodness.
To say no.
To say no. He's counting, even the part of him that's flirting that maybe Yoda could save him at some emotional level. He never questions, really, that Yoda...
Because he was straight up, oh, Yoda's not going to turn, and
Exactly.
someday I'm going to make my master proud and kill Yoda to prove my loyalty as a Sith.
and all those things. So the moment at which the one thing that he never questioned, Yoda's goodness, when that comes into question, that is terrifying for him.
So yeah, and he asked me to ask Sean Stewart to put that full-on skid mark comment in his book. It was such a bizarre thing to put in that, but I did it. And when I told Mr. Stewart, when I reminded him of that question I asked him, when he realized the full-on skid mark, he could not help but laugh at it. So it was just a wonderful thing to say, And it also, I got my friend Annihilus to actually talk to Mr. Lucino via Discord when I was at the Cantina Night after party. He actually got a chance to chat with him just a little bit. Wished him luck for when he goes to where he's going to, what he's doing with his stuff. And he's just... These authors were just such good sports, such nice people. I wish the con was coming back to California in the next couple of years. I know it's not, but I'm hoping it will be, if not in the next 2 or 3 years, maybe in the next 4 or 5, because it would be great to see more authors come down, or not even just this con, but another con that's related to the expanded universe. I would love to see it come down just so I can meet some more authors and share some more questions for everybody. But yeah, that is it. That is the video of all the questions. Thank you so much for anybody who tuned in and watched to see the questions, to help continue to discuss the expanded. I really hope this works in, getting the expanded universe out there and seeing just the utter continuity that was put in there, and just, continue to grow as a Star Wars community in general. Alright, thank you guys so much. If you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, and click the bell. Please support me, or any of these Star Wars authors any way you can. And, obviously, from the con, they had a book truck, which is kind of like the Twin Suns Fund. Support charity organizations like that get wonderful Star Wars Expanded Universe books in the hands of new generations, so that, they can continue the tradition that was started with us so many years ago. All right, thanks again, guys. may the Force be with you. See y'all next time.